Hello and welcome to Shelf Centered. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to do another tag. Can you believe it? I'm actually doing tags. It is a miracle. So I don't know why I stopped for a while. Just time. I'm going to blame time, work, everything I can. What else? Kids is always a good one. I was tagged in the Picture This book tag, and I was tagged by books I'm not reading, and I love it. So thank you so much for the tag. I will jump into it. All right, this one's going to take a lot of reading, so I have my notes here. This is, so it's kind of essentially a tag based on like old children's books that you read growing up, and so it's kind of fun to think about those. But anyway, Love You Forever, written by Robert Munsch and illustrated by Shelia McGraw. This is the name of book you imagine you'll love forever, and this is going to be none other than The Lord of the Rings. That was an easy one. It was the first set of books that I reread. It will not be the last. I'm overdue for another reread. I love this series so much. It's just, I love it forever. And it's so classic, timeless. The movies are great. I've watched them at least 1 million times. I mean, I can't get enough of it, clearly. So I love it forever, definitely. Number 2, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Day, written by Judith Viorst and illustrated by Ray Cruz. Which books or comforting things do you turn to when you're having a bad day? For me, it's really just whatever I'm currently reading. I don't have like a book that I like go back to or anything. I mean, if anything, it could be, I guess, Lord of the Rings, but I haven't done a reread of that in a while. It's really just being able to go home and read my book. That's the comforting thing to do, is finally get to the book that I've been wanting to read and trying to read all day, and it probably hasn't happened at all until I finally get home and get to bed finally after getting the kids in bed. So, all right, number 3, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. This one's by Eric Carle. It's a classic. Which book, series, character sparked your hunger for reading? I've got it. Well, it's a little bit of both. So it's Chronicles of Narnia. Still have it. This is the old school. Look at that. Nice collection there. Actually just picked up used not too long ago, a couple years ago now. Anyway, but has them in the old reading order, the reading order that I did. There's a new reading order, but this is my reading order, that's for sure. Classic, loved that one so much. Started reading, we read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with the kids. They loved it. I would say that's the spark. Right here, The Lord of the Rings was the gasoline on that fire. That was when it was like, I need to do this again. I need to be in a world where I am not in any other world. I'm not in the real world. I am in fully this other world. All right, number 4. Number 4 is Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. This is, what is the most unusual book that you've read? Let's see. Kung Fu, Mimes, End of the World Apocalypse. Yeah. Gone Away World, Nick Harkaway. Nuts. Absolutely nuts and wonderful and so good. Before it's all over, they will have encountered everything from mimes, ninjas, and pirates to one ultra sinister mastermind whose only goal is world domination. It's way more than that. That makes it way too simplistic. This is so good. Anyway, highly recommend that one. It's so weird too. You might have thought I was going with Pilo Family Circus if you followed the channel for a while. I almost did, but Gone Away World I'm going with here. Number 5, Where the Wild Things Are. That one's by Maurice Sendak. I should probably know these things. I don't know. What is your favorite book featuring the natural world? This one was a hard one for me because I don't like read a whole lot of that. But the one that comes to mind the best for me, like featuring like a natural world at least, is Dune. Just how the natural world of this desert planet becomes like everything, and you read this and you get to the parts with the Fremen who are, they won't, like, if they've spat for you or cried tears, then that is like the highest of honors, because of that is how much they are conserving every drop of moisture. And so, and you literally you read it going like like I'm, you know, you're like, did I get enough water today? Am I, you like start conserving it yourself. So I thought, anyway, does a really good job of making you feel just part of that natural world. It may be a stretch, but I don't know, who knows? This is all for interpretation, right? Good Night Moon. This is classic, read it many times, by Margaret Weiss Brown and illustrated by, whoops, I didn't see who that was. Anyway. Do you read at bedtime? That is pretty much it. I got to escape my day job and get into a fantasy or at least different world than what I'm currently living to be able to fall asleep, to get my mind off of just every problem and struggle. That's the problem with my line of work is you can always just prepare more for a hearing or a trial or whatever, and you can always just keep thinking about it forever. The best advice that I've been given as a lawyer is to not make someone else's problems your own, but it's so hard not to when this is like literally all you do is, I got into the work of dealing with people's worst problems they could ever have in their life. So it really affects you, and I don't know, it does help me, I think, be a better lawyer, but at the same time, you got to turn it off and be able to sleep sometimes. So do you read at bedtime? Got that. Do you read to someone else at bedtime? Yeah, my kids constantly. I need to get back. We read the first Harry Potter with my twins, then we're on the second one, and just vacation stuff got in the way, so I need to get back to that. That was really fun. We also like to just tell stories. My daughter reminded me we had this cool kind of progression fantasy type world that we were doing that was, you know, involving them with getting superpowers and having to level up and all this stuff. It was really fun. Anyway, we may be writing that into a book someday that'll never get published, but it is fun to think about. And then, did anyone read to you at bedtime? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting to note, if you've read like Freakonomics, that's my undergrad's in economics, so Freakonomics actually discusses how the amount of books that you have correlates more to your kids being readers than actually reading to them. Interesting stuff. I think I don't know, maybe there's a reason my kids read a lot or want to read and always have a book with them. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. All right, Guess How Much I Love You is number 7. Guess How Much I Love You by Sam McBratney and illustrated by Anita Jerem. Who had the biggest influence on you as a reader? I'd have to say my mom. Definitely my mom. She was always reading, and now here we go. Here I am, always reading. She's also, though, been very much a proponent of not having a crazy huge book collection after she had to clean out her mom's book collection when she passed. So I'm like not listening fully, but as far as reading, definitely my mom. Big, huge influence there. All right, number 8, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. That's a classic. Which book or set of books would you give to an emerging reader, or which book have you given as a gift more than once? For the emerging reader, I would probably go with something like Howl's Moving Castle. It's so good. Something Diana Wynne Jones is amazing. Those are one. Or Game of Thrones, whatever. But a new reader, like it depends. Like that's for like a younger emergent reader. Maybe there's a newer or a reader that, needs something more adult-ish or for adults at least. There's where I wouldn't actually go for Game of Thrones. I'd go for something like The Worded Man, kind of like modern fantasy telling, but not like too crazy. Lots of good, just a good intro to things. Which have I given as a gift more than once? So I would have to say they've a lot of times has ended up being gifts, and that's why I then have like a couple copies of Game of Thrones, because I tend to lend these out quite a bit, and I know there's at least one more or two more that I haven't gotten back, and so technically I've gifted those. The Name of the Wind's another one that I will give out to people. I've also done Liza Locklamora and Heroes Die. Those are ones. If I'm really like, you need some different fantasy in your life. You need to change things up, just from the usual Brandon Sanderson or something. Usually this is the point where you tag some people. I'm terrible at tagging. I'm gonna tag everyone. Anyone who wants to be tagged, you're considered tagged by me. Love to hear your thoughts on these good questions. What a fun tag. Thanks again. Books I'm Not Reading. Appreciate you reaching out to me. That's so great. And tagging me. And we will catch you next time. Thank you for liking and subscribing to Shelf Centered, and we'll see you later. Bye.